Giddy up, guys. Thanks so much for tuning into Wager Wise Network. I'm Cowboy, back with another First and Goal. Today, we're heading down to New Orleans to Yulman Stadium, where Tulane Green Wave are hosting the East Carolina, not Eastern, so you get it right there, East Carolina Pirates, October 9th, 4:30 p.m. on ESPN. Currently, Tulane is 4-1, 1-0 in American play. East Carolina 3-2, 1-0 in American play. And I got a lot to say about this game, so get those bags packed. Before we head on out, a word from our sponsors. What is overtime? Guys, I'm signed up on it. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. It's a crypto sports book with no KYC or limits for players. It's accessible anywhere in the world and offers everything from a traditional bookie would have. Live betting, same game parlays, player props, thousands of lines for over 20 sports, plus way more. Now, the biggest difference here is, guys, and this is where you need to pay attention, you can never get banned, blacklisted, or even refused a payout on overtime. Why? It's all on the chain. You can bet with cryptocurrencies, Ethereum, Bitcoin, stable coins. Signing up takes just a few clicks. Guys, I figured it out. I am by no means a crypto bro, nothing to that level. You can use your email, socials, crypto wallet. You can even fund your account with major exchanges like Coinbase or Robinhood. So how do you do it? You click the link in the description and check this out. You bet $10. If you use that link, they'll send you a free $20 bet. I'm taking all my crypto action here, guys, now. I got all my boys using it. So hit the link, sign up, get your free $20 bet. You got nothing to lose. Click the link in the bio. That's it. Simple as that, guys. Let's start first with Tulane. Tulane, 4-1, 1-0, has looked amazing so far this season. It's beaten some decent quality opponents. One poor game, and that was against Ole Miss. That's to be expected. And it was actually, listen, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They got beat down. It was 45-3 before they scored their first offensive touchdown. But, it was pretty mellow for the first half of the game. Their defense played well. You held Ole Miss to 3 field goals in the first half. I think they virtually scored on every possession. But, for being Tulane, not a bad effort. Not in a bowl game, at least. Bowl game, different. Tulane's different in bowl games, right? Story of the Tulane this season, though, has been Jake Retzlaff. Kid transferred in from BYU against allegations of with a co-ed. Whether they're true or not is irrelevant on the show. We don't draw judgment. And, he came in there and people kind of expected, okay, it's going to take a while for him to get this kind of work in and, wait and see. No, he got that baby clicking, and he got that baby clicking right off the bat. It didn't take but a game for him to kind of figure it out. Game 1 against Northwestern, kid ran all over the place, 113-yard, 1 touchdown, actually threw for a touchdown too, which is not very Jake Retzlaff-like. Guys, he's a running quarterback. He's not a passing quarterback. He's not even really that efficient as quarterback. I will say, though, his quarterback rating is 30th in the nation. Low volume, small passes, dump passes, etc. Yardage only 820 on the season. He has played 5 games. USA, different story. They played against South Alabama, and they kind of had to fight back to win that game. It wasn't South Alabama had an opportunity to South Alabama fought back to get in that game, and it was a 2-point conversion, a failed 2-point conversion with a minute left from them going into overtime, essentially, if Tulane didn't go down and get a field goal, which they're more than competent of. But they did get a win there. Then home with Duke. Good win over Duke. Let's take our hats off. They were a 2.5-point dog, and they took care of business, won 34-27. Another scenario where Duke was behind the 8-ball game, but they made a little push late. Never really felt threatened. But I will say this about Duke. I was big on Duke early. I knew about the potential, and Duke's showing it now, aren't they? They were down 21-3 against Cal, turned that baby right around. So different Duke team. I think weeks 1 through 3 Duke, far inferior to weeks 4 through 6 Duke. That's definitely a conversation worth having. And then, like I said, the loss to Ole Miss, and then a pretty clean win over Tulsa. What's the common trend here? They've really only played one elite quarterback. I know Mensah for Duke's probably, I wouldn't say he's elite, but he's a pretty good quarterback, and he was coming home. He's from North Tulane, all that, et cetera. He played at Tulane last year, took the money and ran to Duke, et cetera. He's a very good quarterback in his own right. I wouldn't say he's elite. He's kind of been underwhelming at times this season. He's really put it together the last few weeks, kind of made figure out the offense, but it was a new offense for him, et cetera, whatever. Flip that over to East Carolina. You guys know me. I can tell you about East Carolina, everything about it. There's not much more about East Carolina. Like I said, we knew this offense was going to be pretty good this this year. The defense is so much farther along than I anticipated. The offensively, 56 points against Campbell, 38 against Coastal, flat against BYU, 13. We'll get to that game in depth here in a minute. 28 against Army, and then they actually put up 17 against NC State. That game I expected to go over. It didn't happen. They've played well all year long. They've been in every game, and NC State, touchdown loss, could have went either way. They had opportunities to tie that game. Campbell, they smoke. Coastal, they smoke. Army, they smoke. BYU, that's the one that I have circled that I want to do a little more depth analysis on. I talked about it last week on the BYU game. I do think BYU's fake, by the way. I've got a position on Arizona, so that's a different conversation. But I watched that game in its entirety. 34-13 is kind of a overstatement here. This team still had 400 yards of offense against BYU, and you only put up one touchdown, and you didn't put up a touchdown until the fourth quarter. It was 6-3 after going into half. All they had to do was just kind of push the ball out of the end zone a little bit. They're backed up to their own end zone, push the ball to the end zone, and just get into half down 6-3, et cetera, and they throw a pick six. That is superseded by, look at that combo. That was superseded by them having a 70-yard drive that ended in an interception. Catching my drift here. Caden Hauser, quarterback form guy. Old-fashioned gunslinger. Just what he is. Throws the ball 40 times a game. Somebody's coming down with it. May not be the right team, but that's who he is. And they're comfortable with it. And he's kind of curbed the turnovers as of recent. He's played a lot cleaner. He was clean in games 1 and 2, and then he kind of went 1-2-1. But the last interception last game against Army was kind of a whatever burger. It wasn't really a factor in the game. So, he has cleaned it up a little bit ever since that 2-turnover game against BYU. And I do believe he will be cleaner. Defensively, like I said, East Carolina a lot farther along than I anticipated. I thought they were going to really struggle in defense, and they've been pretty clean. They actually have a positive turnover margin. They've got the average 1.8. They average 1.8 takeaways a game. Compare that to Tulane, who's at 2.2. So not that much of a difference. You're talking about 2 turnovers over the course of 6 games for these teams. That would be the differentiator of that. Tulane, I do have reservations. Finished with East Carolina. East Carolina, like I said, I don't have reservations about their offense. I think their offense is fine. This is a situation where you're the 28th team in the nation in yardage and you're 79th in scoring. We reiterated that point a couple weeks ago when they played BYU. The gap has to kind of close down one way or the other. And I don't foresee it being the yardage. I foresee it being the scoring. They owe a lot of points, if that makes sense. They owe a ton of points. They are, for lack of a better term, you'd like to think they're a passing offense. They do run 52% of the time. They're a pretty balanced offense, but they get most of their production from passing. They use the run to keep the defense honest. And, really ineffectively. 114th in the nation, 3.3 yards per rush. Not a good situation. And outside the BYU game, they are passing ahead. They are passing when they're in games. They're not necessarily slowing the game down. They look to play a little more up-tempo, per se. Flip that over to Tulane. I'm trying to figure out what Tulane does well. And we kind of dive in the numbers. What are they doing well? They create a ton of takeaways. 13th in the nation. Absolutely smoking the ball in that. And they don't really give the ball away much. They take care of the ball. They've got great ball security. Retzlaff, like I said, other than that, I'm not inspired offensively. They're pretty middle of the road. In fact, they're right where they are if I have them on the power rings. I've got them at, they're 58th in the nation in yards per game and 67th in scoring. I have these teams it's funny. I have these teams. I have Tulane at 62 and East Carolina at 69. And power rating wise, they're pretty parallel. If it's a neutral field, I'd essentially grade as a pick 'em. So how do we get this line of 7.5? Well, a couple things. Tulane's definitely beat the better competition. That's absolutely factual. And the other situation is East Carolina's played up twice. Once BYU lost by significant margin. Doesn't matter how we watch the game. Doesn't matter what we learn from the game. When we're playing lines, all that matters is the final score. And they lost by margin. 7.5-point dogs, lost 34-13. And the other game, 13-point dogs to NC State, they did cover. They only lost by 7. Tulane, like I said, the only game that they really didn't play well in for any part of the game was the Ole Miss game. They did play well against South Alabama. It was a fourth quarter implosion where they scored 17 points. South Alabama scored 17 points to make that a close game. They don't do that. It's kind of like another blowout win for Tulane. So I think you've got a lot of people's power ratings and their algos are saying that this should be about a touchdown and a half game, which it's fine. I don't think that's that bad. But judging off everything I have, all the information I'm privileged to, all the information that I've got, my power ratings and my model, I have this as a 2.5. I have this as a stock 2.5, 3.5, kind of right that scenario there. It closer to a pick 'em. So without further ado, I think you guys know which way I'm leaning on this game. But before I give out the pick, one more sponsor we got to hear from. Just one more sponsor. Today's show is sponsored by GT Mags. Listen, whether you're an 18 handicap or a scratch golfer, we all run the same problems. What do you do with your golf tees? If you're like me, you got that front pocket of your golf bag. It's full of everything that you don't need. Old golf balls, broken golf tees, about $55 and change. You catch the drift. Now we've got a nice, organized way to have your tees. Clips directly to your bag, dispenses tees at a rapid rate, customizable. And listen, if you're watching the show, you get 10% off. Use code WagerWise Network on the link below. Come out firing with GT Mags. I got mine, guys. You got to get yours. I'm telling you, if you're a golfer, you know, if you're not golfing, you should be golfing, by the way. It's a great stress relief and stress creator. Give me East Carolina +7. There's 1-7 out there on Bet365 as of recording at Monday, October 6th, 9:05 p.m. Give me East Carolina +7. 6.5 is the more widely available. Would I take the 6.5? Yeah, I'll take the 6.5 too. We'll trust the model in this one here. I think the game, you're going to see a situation where you're going to see a lot of offense, and I do trust East Carolina's offense a little bit more. Yardage is... It isn't, you know, it's not everything. You know, you take a team like, great example, we just dissected Louisiana Tech, not a great yardage team, a great scoring team. And I believe that eventually that well runs dry. If you keep putting up, 380 yards per game, 380 yards per game, excuse me, more than that, you keep putting up 436 yards per game, you're going to get some fucking points. It's going to happen. And you really haven't seen that explosion yet. I think East Carolina puts it all together. I think they explode offensively. I do think Tulane is able to keep up with them blow for blow. I know East Carolina's numbers defensively look fantastic. I really do. I mean, 16 points per game. And you've played BYU and NC State, two both teams more than likely. I get that. I get that aspect of it, but I do think that they're kind of playing a little fiery on defense as well at times. They don't put, the problem is their sack rate. They don't put a ton of pressure on the quarterback, and I don't think if you can't get a sack rate on to Tulane, Retzloff's going to run wild. So I think it's a high scoring affair. Market agrees with me too. This was 44.5. It's up to 40. Or excuse me. This was. I don't want to talk out my ass here. I don't want to tell you fictional numbers here. Was it 54.5? Yeah, it was 54.5, 53.5. It's up to 54.5, and it's gonna. Guys, I can do a couple things in this life. Well, I can read an odds screen, and it is going to roll to 55.5 at some point before the end of the week. So get it in now. It will go over, I do think, but as long as there's enough scoring, East Carolina will stay in with this. Give me East Carolina +7. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, and I'll catch you guys at the window.